Hi there, good Wednesday morning. I'm digital anchor Brandi Smith, and you are taking a live look outside of Van Horn, Texas, where Blue Origin is set to launch NS-18 around 9 o'clock this morning. Here in just a little bit, Blue Origin is going to begin its live cast. But before it does, I wanted to catch you up to speed on what is happening this morning. So right now you are looking at the four passengers, the four astronauts on board NS-18. Two of these folks are paying customers. Those are Dr. Chris Bosshausen and Glenn DeVries. Bosshausen is a former NASA engineer. DeVries is a healthcare entrepreneur. The woman there is Audrey Powers. She's Blue Origin's Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations. She's worked on New Shepard for 8 years. She joined Blue Origin back in 2013. And of course, a very, very familiar face there, William Shatner, Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek. And what is really amazing to hear in some of the interviews is how his role on Star Trek inspired so many of the people who are involved in today's launch, including the flight director, some of the other passengers or astronauts there with him, and he becomes, with today's launch, the oldest person to ever go to space. He is 90 years old. If you've listened to any of his interviews, he's incredibly excited. He's expressed some nervousness, but he becomes one of about 600 people to go to space and to be able to see the curvature of the Earth, even if it's just for a few moments. So as we're standing by waiting for Blue Origin to get going, which I think they just began talking, but I wanted to run down, this is the 18th launch for the New Shepard, only the second with humans. Of course, the first one was back on July 20th. It contains the oldest person in space, William Shatner. The launch process starts at 9 o'clock this morning. About 45 minutes before then is when the astronauts will be loaded if everything is deemed safe and ready to go. Of course, the launch site, the one you're looking at right now, is outside of Van Horn, Texas. They're going to take off from there. They're going to go on about an 11-minute flight, go 62 miles, be weightless for 3 to 4 minutes, be able to see the curvature of the Earth, and then they're going to come back down. The landing site is about 2 miles from the launch site there. The capsule can carry 6. I'm going to show you the capsule really fast because it is pretty cool. Well, here, let's take a look at the Blue Shepard as it is. You see the crew cabin up top. That's where these astronauts are going to sit. And then the kind of unique shape of the New Shepard. A little closer look inside, zooming into that cabin. There are these huge windows, and again, 6 seats, only 4 passengers aboard this mission. And then there are cameras, 12 cameras all over to document the trip. So this is really the start of space tourism, right? You have 2 paying passengers on board, and I want to go ahead and join Blue Origin's coverage in progress, but Xavier Walton, who is in Van Horn, and I will be back with you about 8 o'clock and catch you up. He's been talking to a lot of the folks in Van Horn about how exciting this is to have it happening right in their backyard.
And this is just the beginning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ariane Cornell, and on behalf of everybody at Blue Origin, I'm thrilled to welcome you to our second human flight. 4 astronauts will launch to space and back on board our New Shepard rocket, which has safely flown 17 successful consecutive missions. I'm joined at the desk today with my co-host, Jackie Cortez. What up, girl? How you doing?
Thanks, Ariane. It's so great to be here with you today. It's been amazing to be down at Launch Site 1 the past couple days, meet the crew, see the team hard at work, and shortly we'll have 4 newly minted astronauts, so that's very exciting as well.
A big morning. So glad to have you here with being my partner in crime for the day. Okay, let's get into it. You're going to notice here that we're on a new set. The same winds that delayed our launch just a day also affected our outdoor set. So out of abundance of caution, we decided to move inside just a mile down the road. But we're here in Texas to bring you all the action live. Now, earlier this morning, our astronauts arrived to the Astronaut Training Center. We've got a little bit of footage of that. Let's check it out. So you see they're getting out of those Rivians. Very cool cars, those Rivians. They're almost like rocket ships themselves. And everybody in good spirits this morning, waving. They got that astronaut energy. They are ready to go to space and back, indeed. And there they go inside the Astronaut Training Center. That's where they've spent the last couple of days learning from our crew member 7, Sarah Knights. And we'll go through all of the training that they also have gone through. It's been a big couple of days for them, but I know that they feel prepared and ready to go. All right, that's some good stuff. We've got 4 incredible individuals on the rocket today, all of them inspiring in their own ways, and all of them focused on inspiring others. As noted, today we are flying customers Chris Bosshausen and Glenn DeVries, Blue Origin's Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations, Audrey Powers, and of course, cultural icon William Shatner.
Well, of course. And with regards to Mr. Shatner, many of us pursued the space industry, myself included, and joined Blue Origin because of early inspiration from watching shows like Star Trek. So this is a pinch me moment for all of us to see Captain James Tiberius Kirk go to space. Really? And maybe for today, we'll need to rename our capsule from the RSS First Step to the RSS Enterprise, but just for today.
Well, let's see if the Twitter picks that up. By the way, you know it's serious when you use somebody's middle name.
Right.
It is real. Captain Kirk is going to space today. Now, every mission on this journey is important, and every mission will be unique. So far, 593 people have gone to space up to this moment. But today, we will send numbers 594, 595, 596, and 597 to space and back. And next year, we're expecting several missions more. Every mission with humans on board is an incredibly inspiring shared experience. For example, today, we know Star Trek fans around the world are rejoicing that their beloved Captain Kirk is really going to space. And Audrey Powers, she represents all of us here at Blue Origin and everybody who works in the space industry that shares this collective dream of one day going to space.
Absolutely, present company included.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ariane and I would love to be out there. We wanted to take a moment to remind everyone that this is just the beginning of a cultural shift in our history with the work Blue is doing and the work being done across the entire space industry. We live in an incredible era where people will go to space and from up above they'll get to see the fragility of Earth. While we can't predict how that will change us, it's likely that as more and more people have this experience that less than 600 people have had to date, there will be a tipping point for humanity's viewpoint of the Earth back here on Earth. So a huge thank you to everyone out there who believes in this mission and to everyone at Team Blue across all of our sites who Ariane and I know work tirelessly to make these moments possible.
That's exactly right, Jackie. And at the center of it all here at Blue Origin is safety. Safety is embedded in everything that we do. Our collaborative environment is grounded in our leadership principles, which are ownership, humility, and technical ambition.
And safety has been baked into the design of New Shepard from day one. It's a robust vehicle designed with high margins. We've actually determined the design can handle substantially more than what we see in flights. The crew capsule has the ability to escape at any moment if a booster problem is detected. There are redundant flight computers, separation systems, parachutes, and sensors, to just name a few.
That's right. And we have backups to the backups. In many of the cases, we got backups to the backups to the backups. So there's so much redundancy built into the system from the very beginning. And as mentioned, we've successfully flown New Shepard 17 consecutive times successfully, including 2 capsule escape tests, plus an additional pad escape test. All of them gone well. Now, driving all of this incredible success with New Shepard is our Blue Origin team. They are professional operators, fully certified through practice and examination, and the team trains for both nominal scenarios, but of course also off nominal scenarios.
That's right. And actually, for over 12 months before first human flight back in July, New Shepard went through many verification and readiness reviews, both internally, but more importantly, outside of the company. We had external consultants with deep experience on NASA human spaceflight programs that were part of these reviews. And unanimously, this team determined that New Shepard met the highest standards for certification.
And that's what got us to first human flight. But that's not where it stops. We have an ongoing cycle of continuous improvement that has spanned over a decade of development, and that is going to continue indefinitely into the future. We learn after every single flight. So yes, New Shepard is built on a commitment to safety. And with that, why don't we take a look at this magnificent rocket on the pad, ready to fly humans to space today. Jackie, we were just talking about safety here at Blue, and to remind people, we're not in a test program anymore. We spent 5 years, over 5 years in fact, testing, and now we're fully into customer flight operations, and safety has never mattered more. For a greater and even better perspective on safety, a couple days ago I had the opportunity to sit down with Blue Origin's Senior Director of New Shepard Safety and Mission Assurance, Andrew Lake. Let's hear it from him. Andrew, you have such an important role at Blue Origin. So at Blue, when we say safety is a top priority, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's interesting, this idea of safety as a priority. And there are a lot of ways to think about this, but I see safety more as a core value that you build a business around. And a business like what we were thinking about for New Shepard and what Blue is doing in general is animated around this idea of safe and reliable systems.
So New Shepard went through this extensive test program, right? And we flew for, 5-6 years before we put people on board. How do you know that you're done?
In a certain sense,
instilling safety into both the vehicle and the how it operates.
Yeah, there are a couple ways you kind of go about it. The first thing you have to do is you have to set goals, safety performance goals, safety performance thresholds, to help you understand when you've met those thresholds. But in any program, you're never really done. You always want to look for opportunities to improve the system, both operationally, both for safety, both for reliability as well. And so we always have to maintain a humility that comes with flying rockets with these kinds of energies involved. And so we, and the ops team that we're about to go fly this mission, I've never seen a team more diligent, more patient, and the constant awareness and the vigilance required to raise issues and make sure they're addressed before we decide that it's time to fly people.
It's taken a team of people to get to this point, to be flying people on New Shepard. What would you say to this team?
I'm humbled to work with this team. It would be lying to say that 3 people who happen to have voted as part of a much larger tech for human flight certification are the people who decided that we're safe enough. Hundreds of people have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this program. Each of them just immensely individually focused on not just the safety of the system, but the reliability of the system. And then there is the work that our team does to kind of partner with them to help them achieve these goals. I am immensely grateful for the opportunity to work with them, and I'm humbled to have an opportunity to kind of lead the safety mission assurance efforts with this team.
Well, tell me this. Would you fly on New Shepard?
I would, and let me just say this.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people at Blue that would be excited to fly New Shepard, and I'm happy to count myself as one of them. It's a fantastic system. It's a very robust system. And yeah, if I ever had the opportunity to fly, I'll wink a little bit at the folks making these decisions. I would be super excited.
Fantastic. Well, I hope we get to go one day.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Well, that was a great conversation, Ariane, and it's clear that Andrew and his team drive a stringent safety approach across everything we do at Blue Origin.
Listening to Andrew really provides some really good meaty context around the safety culture here at Blue and how we implement it, most importantly. Okay, we're at about T-minus 1 hour and 16 minutes to go until launch. In a moment, we'll turn our attention to today's crew. But before we meet them, let's briefly take a look back at our first human flight just 3 months ago.
Hello, crew. Wally.
Feels good to be in the flight suit.
Getting butterflies in my belly.
Crew. Yeah. Welcome to launch day.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos ready for liftoff.
Blue Origin tiene previsto enviar a su primer astronauta al espacio.
ブルーオリジン社の宇宙船ニューシェパードは
New Shepard, космический корабль Джеффа Безоса, вернулся на Землю.
You can see Jeff Bezos realize the dream he's had since a child.
Just minutes from now, Jeff Bezos is about to blast off into space, and they are ready to go.
The mission comes exactly 52 years to the day after the historic Apollo 11 lunar module touched down on the surface of the moon.
7, 6, 5, 4, command start. 2.
See it right there. Blue Origin has begun its liftoff into space.
There is Miko, main engine cutoff. A beautiful shot. Look at that view.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's incredible.
That's great!
Can you move?
I'm
Woo!
Oh,
wow. It does change you.
Don't forget to look out the window.
Oh, wow.
That pinpoint landing, I mean, Anderson, that's a thing of beauty for Blue Origin. This is now the third time that booster has flown to space.
Here comes the crew capsule back from space. Here are the mains out. And touchdown. Welcome back, New Shepard.
You call Blue Origin the most important thing that you will do in your entire career.
We need to build a road to space. We have to work on the here and now. And we have to look to the future.
I was right here at the desk that day, and yes, it was quite an emotional experience for everybody involved. You know, watching that video makes me feel like I was part of something that was really special. And today we can feel that same great energy. Why don't we meet the crew that's going to space in just 1 hour? Former NASA engineer and the founder of satellite company Planet Labs, Chris Bosshausen, is a flying customer today, and he'll be the very first full Australian citizen to go to space. Chris is in seat number 4. Another customer flying today is Glenn DeVries. He's the co-founder of medical company Metadata. And fun fact, there's actually a website called Is Glenn DeVries in Space right now? And over the last couple of days, or until today, the answer was no. But today, it says yes. That's super cool. Glenn is in seat number 6.
And in seat number 1 on the capsule today, someone very near and dear to Ariane and I's hearts and everyone at Team Blue is Audrey Powers, Blue Origin's Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations. She is truly one of the space industry's shining stars, and we're absolutely thrilled that she's on today's flight. And by the way, Audrey's a pilot, but today she's going to get a little bit of an upgrade to astronaut. So that's also great.
That's a mean upgrade.
And last but most certainly not least, here's the great William Shatner. He's been in the zeitgeist for over 50 years and is flying to space today in seat number 3. Mr. Shatner is 90 years old, which, having met him, I just can't believe. And as such, he'll become the oldest person ever to go to space. It's a crew capsule full of fascinating people who, in just a short while, will enjoy the ride of their lives. What have they been doing since their arrival here at Launch Site 1? Let's take a look.
When I was a kid, I would make model rockets. There was a book available called the Space Shuttle Operator's Manual, and I would pore over it for hours. The idea that I'm actually going to get on top of a rocket in a couple days is just hard to fathom.
Right. I think I reached a certain age and I had given up on the idea that I would go to space. In my role in mission and flight operations, we were waiting to hear who the 4th astronaut was. One of my very good friends and colleagues, Michael Edmonds, called me and said, on behalf of Jeff and the senior leadership team, we'd like you to represent Team Blue and fly as the 4th astronaut.
I don't know how many billions of humans have ever existed, but fewer than 600 people have seen the Earth from space. The curvature of the Earth, the thin line of the atmosphere, the blackness of space. You know, I'm happy to be one of the people to put my hand up and say, yeah, I understand the risks. I've worked in this industry my whole life. But I think it's important enough that we should do it, and to show other people that this is something that is coming and something that will be available for them and may have some impact in their life in the future. Captain James D. Kirk, I think William Shatner is the best possible co-passenger I could have for this flight. He was obviously a great hero of mine and many, many, many other space people.
Having played the role of Captain Kirk, everybody assigns me the knowledge that a futuristic astronaut would have, but I've always been consumed with curiosity, and it's the adventure that I feel so good doing.
I was teary-eyed as opportunity has befallen me. It's one of those moments where your life just flashes before your eyes, you know, like the Air and Space Museum when I was 6 and when my parents bought me that telescope, working on the space station and getting this job at Blue. Chris and Glenn and Bill, it's so great because they're great people. It's a wonderful feeling now knowing that our names will be linked forever.
That's really good.
I had the privilege to go through that astronaut training, and let me tell you, it was incredible. And I know that our 4 astronauts today feel very prepared for their journey to space. I have to say, one of the best things, obviously, they make you feel very comfortable with the rocket, with the team, but most importantly, you yourself feel prepared, like you can do that flight to space and enjoy it.
Yes, and I'm still very jealous that you got to do the astronaut training. I know you try and downplay it, but I saw those Blue Origin Blue cocktails at the astronaut village, and I think it was very fun, and I'm still jealous.
It was. We can have the cocktail together.
Well, getting back to today's launch, let's set the stage for how things are going to unfold today. Coming up shortly, at just around T-minus 54 minutes, we'll join our astronauts inside the Astronaut Training Center for a tradition that began on our first human flight, the coin ceremony. This is where our crew member 7, who's responsible for training and flight safety, presents our astronauts with this very special coin you see on screen to fly with them today. Quite a unique and well-earned keepsake for each of today's crew members.
That's right, and from there, Capcom, or Capsule Communicator, will signal it's time to begin the astronaut load-in process. That's at T-minus 45 minutes. Now, Capcom is crew member 7's other half. On this mission, Capcom is Kevin Sprague. There he is, getting ready for flight. And Sarah Knights is our crew member 7. So for those of you that tuned in for our first flight, they have basically swapped roles for the day. Both of them extraordinarily well trained in both of those roles, and they're both outstanding people to be guiding our astronauts to space and back. All right, we're gonna. I look forward to hearing more from Kevin, actually, because he's got some great words to share with our astronauts once they're on board the capsule, and of course through their flight.
Yes, and let's step through some milestone moments that are going to unfold right after the coin ceremony. First, at around T-minus 44, we'll get that go for astronaut load. At this point, our astronauts will board those Rivians that Ariane mentioned earlier. They definitely look like spaceships, especially with the juxtaposition of the desert here. Once they're in the Rivians, our astronauts will drive down the road to space, out to the launch pad. It's about 2 miles. And once they get down there, of course, it's photo time, because if you didn't take a photo,
if it's not on the gram, it never happens.
It's not on the gram, you didn't go to space. So they'll get their crew photo at this point. And once they disembark from the Rivians, they'll begin to ascend that tower. I know Captain Kirk and crew probably wish they could be transported into the capsule, but we don't have that technology quite
Our advanced development program is working on it, Jackie. We just have to be patient.
I have confidence in them. Once they ascend the tower, they'll briefly be in their safety room at the top, and they're awaiting word to ingress the crew capsule. They'll get all buckled up with crew member 7, and we anticipate about T-minus 29 minutes for that hatch to close.
Now, at T-minus 24 minutes, again, we close the hatch, and that's when Kevin Sprague in Capcom takes over, and we move into the final countdown, which, of course, takes us to the best part, the launch.
And that mission ends once the crew capsule safely touches down back here in the West Texas desert. And then it's celebration time. It's champagne showers.
Champagne showers. Rocket launches, champagne showers.
Right. And we'll have welcomed back 4 brand new astronauts to Earth.
Now, today's crew will have a special guest traveling with them during the astronaut loading process. Our founder, Jeff Bezos, will be with the astronauts all the way up the tower and to the crew capsule. Some incredible moments to look forward to today. Kind of fun to have Jeff Bezos himself, you know, be your chauffeur out to the rocket. That's not too shabby.
Oh no, that's a pretty special crew member 8, and we're gonna have to make sure he actually disembarks at the end and doesn't want to try and go up with them again.
I know. We know he had a really good time on the first time around. The good thing we got those cameras up there. Okay, Jackie, why don't we take a quick breather here and let's check out New Shepard on the pad as she gets ready to fly to space and back today with our second human spaceflight crew. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're about T-minus 1 hour and 3 minutes to go until our second human crew launches to space and back. In just a few minutes, we are going to bring you the special coin ceremony that we noted earlier. But before we do that, why don't we talk about the road to space? Today is all about New Shepard, but down in Florida, we're hard at work building our orbital rocket, New Glenn. This is the rocket that will pave the road to space.
We took the first huge step with first human flight on New Shepard, and New Glenn is going to be the next huge step for Blue Origin.
You have to put the infrastructure in place to give us a road to space where we could actually maintain a permanent presence in space. And New Glenn is the key to all of that.
The scale from New Shepard to New Glenn is humongous.
New Shepard is a single stage that gets you into suborbital. This takes you to orbital space.
We are building a rocket and a launch site that can put more payload into space than anybody else.
We're going to be launching, Blue Origin developed payloads, lunar landers, and human space flight.
The scale of what's coming with New Glenn is just unbelievable.
This is a huge vehicle.
This thing's massive, and it's modern. It's reusable. It's new hardware that's going to be changing the game, and it's going to be the next generation of launch vehicle.
We're in the Space Coast of Florida, where all the action is, where the history of human space flight started.
It's been amazing to watch this launch site grow up.
First started here, it was a couple equipment pieces here and there, but now it's flourishing. It's super exciting.
It's a huge job to bring a rocket like the New Glenn together. It only happens with diligent teamwork.
It's a lot of dedication from a lot of teams across Blue.
We have engineers, we have electricians, we have technicians.
It takes a lot of teamwork, dedication, just passion for this mission.
It's not about us having a day in, day out job. It's about having a vision that's way bigger than all of us.
Building a road to space to me means paving the way for having that infrastructure to make space more accessible.
To provide access to space for everyone.
Build a road to space means we're working on a legacy that will last 100 years and longer.
I'm Jerry Gleckel.
I'm Emery Coles.
Justin White.
Sandy Lee.
Dave Powell.
Allison Crone.
Kelsey Cromer.
Meg Dalton Hoffman.
I'm Jennifer Oldham, and I'm building a road to space.
I'm building the road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
How neat is that? We are T-minus about 1 hour until launch of NS-18. We have Xavier Walton outside of Van Horn. He has been now to Van Horn twice because he was there for the July 20th launch as well. And if you're wondering where Van Horn is, that's an excellent question. Let me see if I can zoom you in here. So you see us over there in Houston. Van Horn is all the way over in West Texas, not far from the New Mexico border. And what you're looking at now is a Google Earth image of launch, I believe it's Launch Base 1 for Blue Origin. As I said, Xavier has been there for a couple of days now. He's been talking to folks in and around Van Horn, and I wanted to share this story he did with the local paper.
The Advocate has been telling stories since 1910.
And I love to look through these archives and see what's going on.
And perhaps the most sought-after edition in its rich history was when the world's richest man, Jeff Bezos, blasted off to the edge of space. But long before all the camera crews showed up,
this is something that they had been waiting for Van Horn.
The Advocate wrote,
Blue Origin picks Culberson County for space site.
This edition came out in 2005. Back then, the price of the paper was 50 cents. And since then, it's doubled.
Bezos people.
Lisa Morton is the GM of the paper. She's the one showing us the Advocate archives.
That's what we are. We're just hospitable people.
Hospitable and highlighting Van Horn's history along the way.
Some life into it instead of everybody leaving and nobody coming back.
Oh, I can hear you, Brandi.
All right, yeah, we've got Xavier Walton on the phone live in Van Horn. What is the scene like there? Describe what you're seeing out there.
You know what? It's so funny because we keep saying excitement builds, then delay the launch one day, and then all of a sudden excitement is built because the longer we wait, the more you start to see. There's another Winnebago. There's cameras out here. People are starting to show up. Obviously very excited. I think. Oh, okay.
Okay, you mentioned Trekkies in the Van Horn area. I want to cut to a story that you did yesterday.
As a kid, I read fantasy things
And for Mayor Becky Brewster, that's when her trek began.
all my friends and I would,
So you mean to tell me middle school Becky was walking around the halls to her friends, live long and prosper?
Middle school Becky was doing that.
Do you still do it?
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
After regaining our composure, I went warp speed with Star Trek trivia.
Favorite Star Trek character?
Spock.
What do you think about Captain Kirk?
Pretty awesome, and he was very cute.
So when you hear that Captain Kirk, William Shatner, is going up to space in New Shepard from Van Horn, Texas, what was your initial reaction?
It's about time. This was so awesome. I was excited.
We couldn't tell. Becky is going to watch Blast Off from home, but is riding alongside Captain Kirk in spirit.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Long after William Shatner completes his next mission, her Trekkie ways shall continue.
Are you walking around Van Horn just going, live long and prosper, live long and prosper?
Not usually. I try to hide my nerdiness a little bit.
Okay, checking back in with Xavier Walton, who's on the phone with us from Van Horn. What we're looking at on screen right now, Xavier, is the crew list. And you've got those 2 paying passengers. You've got Audrey Powers, who's with Blue Origin, and William Shatner, the man everyone knows as Captain James Tiberius Kirk. When you've been talking to some of these Star Trek fans out there in Van Horn, like, how exciting is this for them kind of vicariously?
It's so funny because the mayor, when I was talking to her, she's like, I usually don't, I try to hide my nerd. And I'm like, my inner nerd is what she said. I'm like, well, you're not hiding it for this interview. You're not doing it very well. So I've talked to a couple Trekkies out here. And she's done a bunch of interviews. And she said, you know what, this is the first one where I really got to, like, show off and have a little fun. I was like, she really did. She really did, talking about, you know, in middle school, she would rock up to her girls and say, live long and prosper, and just throw up the sign. But no, I think a lot of people, even whether you are a Star Trek fan or a Trekkie or not, they all know Captain Kirk. And they all know that grin and that smile. And I tell you, people are excited about it. Actually, Brandi, I'm looking out my window now here in the stat truck. A whole tour bus just pulled up and dropped off a bunch of kids. So I feel like I need to take pictures. I need to start tweeting this out so you can retweet it. I know you're
oh my goodness.
But yeah, I think excitement is building out here. I'll tell you that.
I was going to say, you go do your job. If you need to pop back on with us, you can give me a call and we'll loop you back in. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement building right now as we are about T-minus 54 minutes until launch. Xavier, we will maybe talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, I mean, I can keep talking, Brandi.
Okay. You can multitask. You can multitask is what you're telling me.
I gotcha.
Okay, I'm just switching the live feed to now Blue Origin's feed. And we're looking at the New Shepard on the launch pad. You were there on July 20th. What, is there a difference in mood now than there was then? I mean, we've done it before.
Exactly, right? So, and this flight, this mission is exactly the same as the one on July 20th. You know, down to, the only one difference is it's 30 minutes later, right? And it's not exactly 3 months in a day. But other than that, you look at the preparations, you know, when they're filling up, the timing, and when the crew's going to get on the tarmac and then walk to the crew capsule and then board it. All of that is exactly the same. You know, New Shepard is going to go up, and after about like 4 or 5 minutes, think about this. So it's going like, I think it's either 22,000 or 23,000 miles per hour.
Wow.
And it's going 3 times the speed of sound. So 3 times the speed of sound. That's how fast this thing is going. And then once it gets to a certain point, the rocket is going to separate from the crew capsule. Then the crew capsule is going to float up past that Kármán line. Then it gets to the edge of space, and that's where they're going to get that weightlessness, that 0G. And that's only going to last 3 or 4 minutes. And then before you know it, they strap back in, come back down. Brandi, it's 10 minutes. It is 10 minutes from the time that they, you know, buckle up, go up, they leave the ground and go to space and come back. And it is almost exactly identical to what happened on July 20th. Only thing is, though, you got Captain Kirk on board. It doesn't get much cooler than that.
That is pretty cool. But you mentioned on that first trip, they had a passenger who paid $28 million for the ticket. We do know there are 2 paying customers, Chris Bosshausen and DeVries. I can't remember, Glenn DeVries. Yeah. We don't know how much they paid, but I mean, what a priceless experience if you can drop a couple million to hop on board.
Yeah, it was funny. So before I came out here, I talked to a retired NASA astronaut there in Houston, Clayton Anderson, and we were talking about that, and he joked with me. He's like, I asked him, what's cooler than, Captain Kirk going up to space? He's like, Clayton Anderson going up to space. And we joked about it because, he's doing fine, but he ain't got the money to go up to space. The only way he's going up to space again is if, somebody pays his way. I think, right now, a lot of people are excited. It's a new thing. But I think it's very, people are realistic when it comes to, it's just going to be the super duper rich. I guess Clayton, he called it, the retired astronaut I spoke to, he called them Castronauts because that's what they're doing. They're paying their way to get to space.
That's so funny. He's been tweeting me this morning, and he used the same term. He questioned whether Blue Origin is going to have a famous face on every launch to keep media interest in the future. I don't know, because this is really the beginning of space tourism. I heard someone from Blue Origin compare it to, the Wright brothers and the beginning of commercial flight. I mean, tickets were expensive back then, and now I can get, round trip to South Padre for $70.
I totally agree, but when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, you're comparing it to flight, right? You're comparing it to air travel. I heard that too. My only thing would be, the first ticket to go to space was how much? How many million?
28 million.
To fly to wherever.
Yeah, 28 is a lot of millions.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I get where, and people are optimistic. I think that's really the takeaway. The gentleman I spoke with yesterday, he's like, pretty soon we're going to be going up to space on the regular. I'm like, really? I'm like, you think that? But hey, he's optimistic, and you can't fault him for it because, just think about it. This time last year, people weren't going to space and back in 10 minutes. That was not happening.
Rather wild to think now we're on our 3rd private manned space flight, and in just a couple months.
Yeah, it really is hard to believe. And I Sergio Soto, he's the photographer I came with in July. He's the photographer I'm with now. We've gotten to know each other very well because it takes about 12 hours to get from Houston to Van Horn, Texas. So that's because we stopped to fill up the SAT truck. But there is that level of excitement. And when you're out here in the middle of nowhere, you got the mountains outlining the skies, and there's something cool about it. I don't know how to describe it. It's October sky-ish. That Jake Gyllenhaal movie that just Bezos is the richest man in the world. But no, it's got that kind of feel to it where it's out here floating. It's all watching this powerful rocket go up to space. I mean, it's really, really cool. It's not to think about it. They're the thing we love about space. I love it. They're going in less than an hour, and thinking about it, it's really exciting.
Yeah, we're T-minus 48 now. It's seeing the backdrops from some of your stories. It is just like barren and beautiful is the best way I could describe it. Almost alien for a lot of us here in the swamp of Southeast Texas, because it's so desolate, it's so empty, and then you just have this space program kind of looming in the distance. And I loved the story you did with a farmer yesterday who knew exactly where to watch it, where to watch the launch. He said where the ship would come up between where the mountains ended and where some bushes started.
How cool is that? Just think about this. Let's say you're, it's out in the lawn and you see a rocket go up and it's going to space. Like, think about that. And what's crazy is some people think that may become, the normal. When? I don't know, but I just like sitting here picturing this guy literally, in the field, doing his thing, watering his alfalfa, because he's an alfalfa farmer, and then he hears the rocket go off and he looks up like, oh, there it is again, there's New Shepard. That's crazy to think about.
It sounds like a Ray Bradbury novel. Like, oh, just look in the backyard and there's the rocket. As we're 46, T-minus 46, and we're getting really close to astronaut load. So at T-minus 44, they're going to give the call, making sure everything's all clear. Then those astronauts will be driven to the pad. It's about 2 miles. They got to get their crew photo. That's at T-minus 38. So we're approaching all of this probably just about 8 minutes or so away, as we're T-minus 46 from launch. Is the crowd growing there?
No, but there is okay, so this should give you an idea of the weather currently. There's a woman with a big comfy blanket draped all over her right in front of the sat truck. It is pretty cold out here. It's like mid-50s. Not too windy, though. That was the concern. That's why I got delayed, because of those strong winds yesterday. Right now, at least on the ground, doesn't appear to be windy at all.
Yeah, when you guys got there Sunday night?
Yep, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and you know what? Honestly, on the way here, for probably half of it, Sergio was holding on with 2 hands because the winds were that strong. And even, when we were getting out of the car, shooting stuff, it was very gusty, it's very windy. And that's because, there in Houston, you guys are feeling the effects. You're getting that cooler weather, or at least you're going to get that cooler weather.
Yeah, and it's not here yet.
So no, you know what? The wind now died down, and hopefully it stays this way. Obviously, it wouldn't go up if it wasn't going to. So safety first.
Yeah, that's what they've emphasized, and the fact that there are a couple different escape mechanisms for the cabin in case anything were to go wrong. But at this point, it looks like conditions are primed. Say that again?
No, I was just saying there are a bunch of different emergency mechanisms inside of that capsule should something go wrong. And we've only been here for 2 of the flights, right? The human flights. I mean, so this is 18. They have sent that rocket up over and over again, and they have tested it. They've even tested, okay, if this goes wrong, here's what we do in that case. So, that's why they did it so many times over and over, to make sure that it is safe and that nothing goes wrong, obviously.
Yeah, we are anticipating the astronauts arriving at Launch Site 1 outside of Van Horn, Texas, pretty shortly. That is where, oh, there they are. They just took their crew photo. But it looks like they're still at astronaut camp. They're loading into the vehicles here to drive to Launch Site 1.
Astronaut Village.
How cool is that? And the training that they go through, only 2 days of training. When you think about what a traditional NASA astronaut, like you were talking about retired NASA astronaut Clayton Anderson, the years, months of training before a launch. And here, the space tourists got 2 days of training, and they are about to become, the 594th, 5th, 6th, and 7th humans in space.
They are. This is so exciting. I honestly, I've gone skydiving a few times, and I tell people there's nothing that compares to that feeling when you jump out of a plane. I bet there's just nothing that compares to when you're up there in 0G.
I'm cutting to a shot
of
Blue Origin inside the vehicles. The smiles on their faces.
There he is.
How?
Fun fact, Brandi, Audrey Powers was in Houston from 99 to 2003. She's the woman here, VP of Blue Origin. She's the backseat left. She actually coached lacrosse, was the head coach at Clear Lake High School for their lacrosse club team. Fun fact about Audrey Powers there, backseat left, and she's going up to the edge of space this morning.
You know, and she, in an interview, said she thought her opportunity to go to space was over, that it wasn't going to happen, and they were waiting to hear who would be astronaut 4 for this mission. And she got a call, and they told her, we want you to represent Blue on this trip. How incredible. And this is a woman who has done so much. Like, she's right now, she holds the title of Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations, but she was also their general counsel for a while for Blue Origin in the 8 years that she's been there.
Hey, Brandi, so she's going to face those drives, right? You're going to leave with a tip?
For the price they paid for these tickets, I think the tip is included. They did say that he's going to come on board for a little bit. They just got to make sure he hops off before they take off. But he's done it before, right? Like, he and his brother on July 20th, you saw it, hit space on that 10, 11 minute trip, 62 miles up. It is wild to think, too, that they're basically traveling a little further than Houston to Galveston, but just going up. Oh, I see. Yeah, there is a hold timer counting down. Or counting up, actually. Let me see what's going on here. Well, they haven't tweeted anything. But they were very clear that they were not going to bring the astronauts on board. They would not clear them to make the trip, even from astronaut camp, unless the conditions were 100% a go. So it's we don't know exactly what the cause of the hold is, but they have stressed that safety is their primary concern. Xavier, I will cut you loose so that we can take them, we can cut to the Blue Origin feed, and that way, you know, maybe we'll get a clearer idea of what's going on. But thank you so much for your time, and have an awesome day covering history made again.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye. All right, so you are taking a live look at Launch Site 1 of New Shepard, and we're going to be joining Blue Origin's coverage in progress.
You know, the launch to space, the training is part of the experience, but so is kind of the hospitality component at our astronaut village. So I want to show you a little bit more about our astronaut village here. We've got, so the astronaut village itself is just about 10 minutes away from the launch site itself. You can see nestled in the beautiful valley of West Texas. It's built around that fire pit, but each astronaut gets this pretty luxe airstream. It's kitted out on the inside very, very nicely. And our hospitality team, they've got decades of experience, and they really make you feel like you are, like you are part of an adventure. I can say I had the good opportunity of being able to experience this just a couple of months ago as I got to go through my training, and it it really rounds it out. You know, and when we built the astronaut village and the hospitality component of this, we wanted to build something that really felt part of this Texas environment. It's not something big and elaborate. It's something that is part of the environment. But of course, at the same time, we want you to feel comfortable. So we brought in a wonderful catering staff. You know, there's nothing like going to space. So you're talking about champagne showers after the after the launch. You know, but the food and beverage is very nice. There's nothing like a glass of champagne around the campfire.
Absolutely, and as you can see, you know, everything is very designed so that the crew can get to know each other and relax and have that comfort as they prepare for their flight to space. There's Ariane right there.
With Audrey Powers,
Audrey
who's
Powers.
also going out to fly. The bonding, I think that's a really important point that you bring up, Jackie, is the bonding component. You know, I was chatting with Chris Bosshausen, who actually is a good friend of mine, and he, you know, he was saying one of the things that he's really loved so far about this experience is he really feels so close now, and they haven't even gone to space yet, but so close to, you know, to Audrey and to Glenn and to Bill through this experience. And again, we have thought about it in a holistic kind of way. So, to all of you that are out there watching, if you want to experience this, the flight to space, the hospitality, the bonding, it is really cool. We encourage you to go to BlueOrigin.com, click on the link there, fly to space, and let us know, and we'll reach out to you after the flight. Okay, we're at T-minus 45 minutes to go. We continue to be in a hold here while we've got some more time. Why don't we throw it back to the rocket?
Hey there, digital anchor Brandi Smith back here. We are on a hold right now that's extended about 11 minutes at this point. So it's still T-minus 45 once they lift that hold. We haven't been told what is causing the hold at this point, but Blue Origin has emphasized safety and making sure the conditions are just right before they want to load those 4 astronauts in. So let's catch you up where we're at. I'll keep an eye on the hold, and once the clock starts ticking down and they decide to bring the astronauts to launch site 1, we'll rejoin their coverage. But you are looking at right now the 4 astronauts, as retired NASA astronaut Clayton Anderson calls them the Castronauts, because 2 of these are paying customers, Glenn DeVries and Chris Bosshausen. Bosshausen is a former NASA engineer. DeVries is a healthcare entrepreneur. We do not know how much they paid to be on this flight, but we do know that that first ticket for the launch on July 20th, that went for $28 million. Audrey Powers is there as well. She worked at NASA. She has been at Blue Origin since 2013. She's the Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations. Again, she's worked on New Shepard for 8 years. She said in an interview this week that she thought her chance at going to space was over, that it had come and gone, and now she is getting that opportunity. And the man who has been garnering a lot of the headlines this week, of course, actor William Shatner, who played Captain James Tiberius Kirk on Star Trek, and who, in that role, inspired a lot of people involved in today's launch. Even the flight director said he decided to pursue this passion in space because of Captain Kirk and because of Star Trek. A little bit earlier, if you were with us, Xavier Walton, who has been in Van Horn, just outside of Launch Site 1, talked to the mayor of Van Horn, a little tiny town, but she is a huge Star Trek fan, considers herself a Trekkie, and you can imagine the excitement having, Captain Kirk about to head to space for real this time. It's really neat for any fan to see this happening. And not only is he traveling to space for the first real time, he's setting a record, making history as the oldest person to ever go to space. There have only been, when these 4 return, they will be the 594th, 595th, 596th, and 597th humans to go to space. They are shooting 62 miles up. They're going to be weightless for about 3 to 4 minutes. They're going to be able to see the curvature of the Earth while they're up there, and then they come back down. They land about 2 miles from Launch Site 1. A very quick trip. For the paying customers, a very expensive trip, but one of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences. We're looking in Blue Origin's control center now. These images, the live feed is provided by Blue Origin. I wanna just mention that. We do have Xavier Walton and photographer Sergio Soto in Van Horn. They're watching with a crowd that's gathered there. Xavier was describing the conditions very different from what we have in Houston right now. If you haven't stepped outside yet, it is pretty muggy and very warm. We're going to be getting a cool front that moves through Friday night into Saturday. It's not here yet. It has started to sweep through West Texas, and that's what caused the delay. So this launch was scheduled for yesterday morning because there could be some problematic winds. They pushed it to today, and Xavier described the conditions as pretty calm but chilly. So we don't know if that's a factor in this hold. Hold on, let me see if Blue Origin has tweeted any updates, because that's been my source. They have not. They have not, as we take this live look, extending the hold to 16 minutes now, and we're still waiting for those astronauts to come on board the New Shepard. Let's take a look at this spaceship. It was the second one to take humans, I should say the second private spaceship to take humans into space. Of course, the first being Richard Branson's company just a couple weeks before Blue Origin launched the New Shepard on July 20th. So what you're looking at is the crew cabin, which sits on top. Then you have some fins, the engine, and the landing gear down below, because the rocket is reusable. So this is, hold on, I have some information about that rocket. It's the New Shepard 4 rocket. And the New Shepard itself this will be the 18th launch, hence NS-18, second with humans, carrying the oldest person in space. The launch was slated for 10 a.m., but we are on a hold right now. So still at minimum 45 minutes from launch. This is just outside. Oh, let me give you a live look at this again. Actually, you don't want to look at me. Let me show you. Yeah, the live feed from Blue Origin. The sunrise. It's so beautiful out there. I've only ever driven through West Texas and at night during an ice storm, so I don't think I got a great sense of what the scenery out there looks like. But via the stories that Xavier Walton has told this week, we have really gotten that scene painted for us. Actually, as I'm saying that, I want to share a story he did yesterday, speaking to neighbors of the launch. Make sure I got everything set here. Okay.
In the West Texas desert, the sound of trucks and tractors are common.
Good business, uh-huh. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But over the years, Vance Cottrell has added spacecraft to the list.
Oh, you know, when everybody thinks of space, they think of Houston. Well, now they can start thinking of Van Horn because we got it going on.
As an alfalfa farmer, Vance's property neighbors the Jeff Bezos spaceport.
So when they do the testing, actually, there's so much flame and fire and smoke or dust and what have you, you can see it from here.
Over there in the corner, if you just stop over there, you feel the ground like shake a little bit.
Spends a lot of time on the farm.
7 days a week, 12, 13 hours a day.
He knows exactly where to look.
Right there between the dark bush over there and the end of the mountain, that's where the thing come up.
Vance still hasn't met his high-flying neighbor, but he's been introduced to New Shepard.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's hard to imagine that, you know, they're that close and they got all that going on, because especially growing up here in Van Horn, you never had that kind of excitement going on.
Just beautiful out there. I was talking to Xavier a little bit ago on the phone, and just beautifully barren is how I would describe it. A great place to build a launch site for a rocket. And this is the second site, of course, here in Texas. You have Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos's company set up outside of Van Horn, and then you have SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, down near Brownsville in Boca Chica, or as he calls it, Starbase, Texas. It's pretty neat when you consider, Houston, known as Space City, having the Johnson Space Center here. And I think in talking to experts in the field, they say that's a huge draw for folks like Bezos or Elon Musk, because you already have so much talent linked to the space industry here in the Houston area, and you can pull them wherever you need to. Let's look at this cabin that they're going to be traveling in. So it's the same one that took Jeff Bezos and a couple other folks up on July 20th. Huge windows so that each of the passengers can get a beautiful view. They can see that curvature of the Earth. They can see the darkness of space. There are 6 seats, but only 4 will be taken on this trip. Again, those astronauts are William Shatner, Audrey Powers, Dr. Chris Bosshausen, and Glenn DeVries. Those last 2 are paying customers for Blue Origin, but there's just so much excitement about the fact that Captain Kirk is one of those, again, becoming the oldest person to go into space, 90 years old, but also, the man who inspired so many people. So an image from July 20th. This is the inaugural launch with human passengers for the New Shepard. This was back on July 20th. I think I said that already. But very similar plans then compared to what's going to happen today. So they're going to take off. They're going to travel 62 miles up. They're going to be weightless for 3 to 4 minutes. And then they strap back in, come back home, land about 2 miles from where they took off. Pretty short flight all things considered. So the process to get to this point, as we wait on hold, again, the mission was set to launch at 9 o'clock. We are still 45 minutes away from launch when they start that clock again. So this hold has lasted 23 minutes, and we still have no word what is causing that hold. But the astronauts are still at astronaut camp. Until they get the all clear, they won't be transported to launch site 1. This mission was set to launch yesterday. NS-18 was set for a Tuesday launch, but the winds were just too strong. Crews didn't feel like it was safe enough for them to, one, roll out the vehicle and make sure that the launch was going to be safe. The astronauts got 2 days of training. Xavier and I were talking about this a bit ago. You think about the years of work and then months upon months of training that went into NASA astronauts going into space, and these folks have 2 days. Of course, very different missions. These folks are going in for a 10-minute mission. A lot of NASA astronauts were traveling to ISS or more extended stays, at least, not just a 10-minute trip. They were also tasked with running the space shuttle. Pilot, commander, this is all controlled down on Earth. The vehicle was cleared for safety. The vehicle itself, not the conditions for launch, but the vehicle itself was cleared for safety on Sunday. The rollout happened at T-minus 7 hours, and now we are waiting because that 45-minute mark is key in this process. That is when astronauts get the all clear to drive from astronaut camp, where they've been living for a couple days, to head to launch site 1. And then they will take a crew photo, because you got to take a photo, right? If you can't post it on the gram, was it even real? I heard the Blue Origin host say that earlier, and I got a kick out of it. Did you really do it if you don't post it on the gram? And then they'll climb that tower, load in, make sure everything's good to go, and about T-minus 29 minutes is when the hatch closes, and then they get everything ready. This is a really cool aerial shot from Blue Origin. I mean, you see just how there is very little near Van Horn, Texas. The city itself has a small population. What you can't see are the crowds gathered. Blue Origin asked for the closest highway to be shut down for a section. So people can't get very, very close to this, unlike when Branson did his launch, which was a public-private partnership. I think that's what makes the difference there. You had a lot of reporters all right there near the launch pad, which was also where the vehicle landed. But here, everything is at a great distance. Xavier is there with the crowds. He said there was a tour bus that just dropped off a bunch of kids. Can you imagine, as a kid, having something like this happen right in your backyard? I think it's probably old hat for folks maybe living in Florida, just something you're accustomed to, and anymore, folks down in the valley because they've seen SpaceX launches. But in West Texas, this is something new, to see a rocket launch out of your backyard. I compared it to a Ray Bradbury short story, right? I feel like that has to be something I read before, seeing the rockets launch or the space shuttle launch just beyond your back fence. We are still on a hold, waiting for launch of NS-18. Still no word what is causing this hold. Keep checking in. Hoping they get clearance soon to make history with the oldest man to go into space on board. William Shatner is 90 years old. We're going into 30 minutes now. Let me see, what else can I grab for you to show you? Xavier's done a bunch of wonderful stories out in Van Horn. Now, you heard from the farmer, and if you joined us earlier, you did hear from the mayor of Van Horn, but you know what? I'm gonna bring this back as we wait to hear what this hold is all about, because it's just a good story. Enjoy.
As a kid, I read fantasy things
And for Mayor Becky Brewster, that's when her trek began.
all my friends and I would, you know.
So you mean to tell me middle school Becky was walking around the halls to her friends, live long and prosper?
Middle school Becky was doing that.
Do you still do it?
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
After regaining our composure, I went warp speed with Star Trek trivia.
Favorite Star Trek character?
Spock.
What do you think about Captain Kirk?
Pretty awesome, and he was very cute.
So when you hear that Captain Kirk, William Shatner, is going up to space in New Shepard from Van Horn, Texas, what was your initial reaction?
It's about time. This was so awesome. I was excited.
We couldn't tell. Becky is going to watch Blast Off from home, but is riding alongside Captain Kirk in spirit.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Long after William Shatner completes his next mission, her Trekkie ways shall continue.
Are you walking around Van Horn just going, live long and prosper, live long and prosper?
Not usually. I try to hide my nerdiness a little bit.
I just love that story. She definitely let her nerd flag fly a little bit. I have a friend, David McDougall, when I tweeted that the man who played Captain Kirk was going to space, he said, just lay off it. It's Captain Kirk. He is Captain Kirk, which is fair. I get it. I was looking through some of our Facebook comments on our live feed. If you guys have any questions, anything that I can answer, I will do my best to get those answers for you. And someone asked if Patrick Stewart is next. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. He was part of the Next Generation, right? So perhaps, I don't know. Retired NASA astronaut Clayton Anderson kind of posed the question on Twitter, are they going to need a famous face over and over again for every launch to keep the public and the media interested? And we will have to see. That hold has been lifted. The countdown is back on. So where are we at in this process? All right, at T-minus 44 minutes, that is when astronauts get the order to load. They will travel from astronaut camp. Remember, they've been in those vehicles. I don't know if they got out. But they were sitting there with driver Jeff Bezos to head to launch site 1. It's about a 2-mile drive. When they get there at T-minus 38, they will do a crew photo. They're there. Oh. So they've just been sitting in the car this whole time, about 30 minutes. All right, all smiles as they drive off from astronaut camp, and they head 2 miles down the road to launch site 1, to get on board the New Shepard, to be part of NS-18, to make history, and be just a few of the less than 600 people who have traveled to space. They've got a whole send-off there at astronaut camp. Lots of waves. You gotta wonder, so when this is not at all the same thing, but it made me think of, I'm doing a series about haunted houses here in the Houston area, and I did my first one on Sunday. I am not a fan of haunted houses. Like, they're fun, don't get me wrong, but as we were waiting to go in, the anxiety just built up. I would rather just show up and go straight in rather than having to sit there and psych myself out. So I have to wonder, the reason I'm saying this is I have to wonder, as you're sitting there for more than 30 minutes waiting for word that you're okay to go, do you psych yourself out a little bit? I mean, I know they cover a lot of that in the training about preparing them for any discomfort they might feel, weird bumps and stuff that are totally natural, but, you know, not normal for new astronauts. They're not accustomed to that. As we watch the vehicle drive the 4 astronauts from astronaut camp to launch site 1. Let me take this full. Much cooler to see it than me. Blue Origin has done a wonderful job of documenting, having the technology to document this journey. I mean, obviously you see the live cameras in the vehicles, aerial footage from launch site 1. The cabin, the crew cabin, is also equipped with 12 different cameras to be able to show the experience, the reaction from the astronauts, and customers will get a copy of that, according to Blue Origin's website. All right, now they're finally off. Is that DeVries? He just had the biggest grin on his face. Can you imagine waiting for this moment for so long? DeVries said when he was a kid, he had a lot of interest in spaceships, and part of that was fueled by both he and Dr. Chris Bosshausen commented that Star Trek was fundamental in their love of space. That's a cool shot. As we look straight down the road from astronaut camp to launch site 1, you see the Guadalupe Mountains in the background. Just a beautiful, beautiful day. A little chilly there, Xavier said, probably in the 50s. A lot of folks who were waiting to watch the launch had blankets. They were kind of huddled up. Yeah, much different conditions here. Let me pop back over on Facebook and see if you guys have any questions. Yeah, again, Doris said next should be Captain Picard. Is Patrick Stewart interested? You know, we'll have to wait and see. As far as I know, there are no more manned missions planned for this year, but the hosts here on Blue Origin's coverage did mention that there are a couple slated for last year. Next year. Lisa says she's watching the sky in Marfa. Michael asks, is this standard protocol for safety purposes to hold the countdown when mission control sees a potential problem either with the weather conditions in relation to high winds or mechanical problems? I wish I could give you a definitive answer on that, but they didn't tell us what the hold was for. The only thing they said before we started this whole process this morning is that safety is key and that they will take any measures necessary to ensure this is a safe launch. So that potentially could be what the source of the hold was. Someone wrote, it's warp time. You are my favorite Star Trek captain, William Shatner. Today you will be actually heading to space. I'm so excited and happy for you that I am in tears. Beam me up, Scotty. I mean, he has to say that today, right? Like that has to come out of his mouth at some point today. A few of you have commented that, Mike, too. Beam me up, Scotty. And Tretta says, I wish Spock was still here to witness this moment. I mean, this is the beginning of space tourism. That's what Jeff Bezos has said. That's why he has started this process. He wants this to be the beginning of potentially humans living on the moon, living in space. And so, you know, it all begins with a launch. They had their first crewed mission on July 20th. This is the second, so I wouldn't rule out opportunities for other Star Trek favorites to come on board. The astronauts have reached launch site 1, and now it's going to be time for their crew photo. I gotta say, for 90 years old, William Shatner is pretty darn spry. He's getting around really well. And they begin the walk to the New Shepard. Four more humans who are set to make history. There are still less than 600 people who've been to space. They're doing their poses. You know, you got to get it right. What a backdrop for that photo, though. I'm sure it will be posted fairly quickly. We'll keep an eye out for it on Blue Origin's feed. David has a great comment. William Shatner is about to boldly go where no man his age has gone before. That is true. At 90, he is the oldest person to go into space. Donna says, earlier you mentioned the crew would climb to get to the top of Blue Origin. I hope they have some oxygen for Captain Kirk. He might need an elevator. They do have to ascend the tower to make it all the way to the cabin, which is up top. Oh, let me see if I can, sorry, I'm running this technology myself. So sometimes I have to pause for a minute because there are a lot of moving parts. But let me see if I can pull up the New Shepard. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, see, I wanted to put that graphic in there instead of my mug. So you can see how the ship is constructed. That crew cabin is up top, and then you have the rocket down below. And the crew cabin is equipped with, you see the windows up there, just huge windows, so that the astronauts will get a view. You've got Bezos just hopping out of the driver's seat there, and the astronauts unloading. Yeah, so they are ascending this tower just a smidge behind schedule, it seems. That was supposed to start at T-minus 36. The hold probably had an impact on that. But the goal is to get them into the crew cabin, to which Bezos is expected to accompany them. He'll leave. They'll close the hatch at T-minus 29 minutes. And then it's just a matter of making sure that all systems are go and they are ready. Oh, Jeff doesn't like me talking. You can always pop over to Blue Origin's straight feed as we watch them climb that tower. Steve says, watching from the UK, my screen hero, Captain Kirk, taking off to the final frontier. I know I've said this over and over again, but it is remarkable hearing from all the people involved in today's launch, including his fellow astronauts who are going to take this trip with him, about how much his role fueled their passion for space. I mean, did we all grow up watching Star Trek? I feel like that's just one of those things we all did. It's almost a universal experience. It was sort of required viewing in my house. My dad was a big fan. David says, hi from the UK. Good luck to everyone on the voyage. Brian says, wait, William Shatner was never in space. My childhood was a lie. Well, we're about to flip it on its head. It is gonna come true. They just gotta make it up a few more flights of this stairwell. I did want to mention, Shatner is a pretty busy guy. So he's doing Space on Wednesday. I believe he's doing Indiana Comic-Con and then Chicago Comic-Con this weekend. Just bing, bang, bongo. Which you can do when it's a 10-minute flight, right? Roy says, thought William Shatner would have the Star Trek logo on his suit. I'm just glad they're all in blue and no one's wearing a red jacket. Can we agree on that? Or wait, was it red jacket? Red jacket meant you weren't going to make it, right? Yeah, I'm getting the thumbs up from Colin, one of our editors. I'm going to change this view again. Add a different photo in there. I want to show you the crew, the 4 people who are on board, or who will be soon. There you go. So you're looking at Chris DeVries, Glenn DeVries, I'm so sorry, and Dr. Chris Bosshausen. Those are the 2 paying customers. They're the men on the far left, far right. The woman there is Audrey Powers, who is Blue Origin's Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations. She's worked on New Shepard for 8 years, and then William Shatner. And as they approach entrance to the crew cabin, I'm going to turn this over to Blue Origin for coverage. Let me get all of this set to make sure. Turning you over right. Hey there, digital anchor Brandi Smith. We are on another hold here, the second of the morning for NS-18, New Shepard's 18th flight, only the second carrying passengers. You can see the 4 passengers there just kicking back. They are loaded into the crew cabin. They have not yet sealed off the cabin, though, for takeoff. Launch was scheduled for 9 o'clock. We had about a 30-minute hold earlier. Now with T-minus 15, we are creeping past 5 minutes for this hold. If you are just joining us and you're like, hey, what's going on? I think there maybe are 2 of you, because most of you are very familiar with the launch of Blue Origin's New Shepard. We have 4 passengers who are on board, 2 of whom are paying customers. The paying customers are Dr. Chris Bosshausen and Glenn DeVries. Bosshausen is a former NASA engineer, and then DeVries is a healthcare entrepreneur. William Shatner is, of course, on board, the actor who played Captain James Tiberius Kirk. And Audrey Powers, the Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations for Blue Origin. She's been working on New Shepard for about 8 years now. So we have watched them throughout the morning as crews prepped Launch Site 1, getting ready for today's launch, which had been delayed. It was supposed to take off yesterday. Some strong winds in the area prompted Blue Origin to hold off for a bit. And then we watched them as they were loaded into vehicles, driven, one of them by Jeff Bezos. Made the trek from astronaut camp about 2 miles away to Launch Site 1. Then they ascended that tower. They had to climb up. There's no elevator. They had to climb up all those stories and then loaded into the crew cabin there. So you see folks just outside. But the folks at Blue Origin have been adamant that they're not doing anything unless it is 100% safe to do so. This is called NS-18, New Shepard 18. It's the 18th flight. It is only the second with humans. You'll remember the first was July 20th, just a few weeks after Richard Branson launched the first private spacecraft with a crew. This will carry the oldest person to ever be in space. William Shatner is 90 years old, and despite what you may have seen on TV growing up, he has never been in space before. So as someone wrote earlier, he is boldly going where no man his age has ever gone before. Looking at the crew cabin there, which sits atop the rocket, it has 6 seats. Not all of them are filled. Only 4 of them are filled. And it has 12 cameras inside to document this 11-minute ride that they're going to take. They shoot 62 miles into space. They are able to be weightless for 3 to 4 minutes. They'll unstrap, they'll float around. Those cameras that I mentioned will document that. Then they got to strap back in and they will return to Earth. They land about 2 miles away from the launch site. There's a lot of folks who are watching this from a distance right now. We spoke to Xavier Walton, who was there for the July 20th launch. And now he is back in Van Horn, or he was staying in Van Horn, and now he's closer to Launch Site 1 to kind of get the sense of what the vibe is there. Neighbors are sort of getting accustomed to the idea of seeing rockets fire off in their backyard, at a distance, of course. One farmer he spoke to was able to point to the exact spot along the horizon where the mountains end and some shrubs popped up, and he says, yep, shoots up right there. We just wait for it. You can watch Xavier's stories on khou.com. I'm going to test this because I think it's khou.com/space. Indeed it is. So there you'll find an interview with William Shatner, Xavier's story about residents of Van Horn challenging the title of Space City, whether it should be theirs now versus Houston. I would make the argument we have a couple space cities in Texas now, because along with Van Horn, you have Boca Chica down in the valley, and then of course Houston. So maybe we can just be the space state. He also talked to the mayor of Van Horn, who is a Trekkie, so you can imagine her excitement that just down the road, Captain James T. Kirk is about to launch into space for the very first time. We have a bunch of information there about all kinds of space coverage. SpaceX, Virgin Galactic. One of my favorite stories that Xavier did recently was about NASA looking for people to test out its Mars habitat at the Johnson Space Center. Kind of cool. So a lot of reading material as we wait for Blue Origin to lift this hold, now extending past the 10-minute mark. But once they lift that hold, we're only 15 minutes away from takeoff. And then the trip itself will be over in like 10, 11 minutes. So a lot of build-up for what is a very short experience in the long run. Also a very costly experience. We know on the first manned mission on the New Shepard, someone bid $28 million for a ticket. We know 2 of the people who are on board here did pay, but they haven't. Blue Origin hasn't revealed what the cost there was. And then William Shatner was invited to participate, and then Audrey Powers is representing Blue Origin on this flight. She has ties to the Houston area. Xavier was saying she was a lacrosse coach when she lived here in Houston. She used to work at NASA as well. The time has long passed since launch was initially scheduled 27 minutes ago. The mission would have already been over. The crew would have deboarded if everything had gone according to plan, but as so often happens, it has not, and we are experiencing our second hold of the morning. I'm going to pop over on Facebook because a lot of you have commented. We popped off and left coverage to Blue Origin, but since they were in a hold until that hold lifts, I thought I'd pop on here and chat with y'all. Curtis says William Shatner repping Canada, and I believe it's Bosshausen. I believe Dr. Chris Bosshausen is the first full Australian to go to space. Oh, hold on, text coming in. Our managing editor, Bill Bishop, just texted this. He says, a reminder, on October 29th, 1998, at age 77, astronaut John Glenn flew on Space Shuttle Discovery's STS-95 mission, making him the oldest person at that time to enter Earth's orbit, and the only person to fly in both the Mercury and the Space Shuttle programs. He will hold a good chunk of those records because though Shatner will go to space, he obviously was not a part of the Mercury and Space Shuttle programs. Those have been retired. Xavier also texted, we had him on the phone earlier, and he said he's just watching the launch like a hawk, as so many gathered with him are, right? He says there's a crowd there. At one point, a tour bus dropped off a group of kids to watch the launch. Just very, very neat. I was going to pull something else up, and I don't remember what it was. Let's see. Anita says, Captain Kirk, age 90, going to space. Roy asked why they've been put on hold again. They haven't revealed that, and they didn't for the last hold either. All I can tell you is that everyone from Blue Origin has been stressing how important safety is and the conditions being just right. And if they didn't feel like it was going to be a safe launch, they would push it back like they did yesterday. It was scheduled to launch yesterday, or you know, put a pause on things. But it could be any number of factors. Daniel jokes, note to the guys locking the door, remember it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. A lot of prayers for the astronauts who are going up. They've only had 2 days of training, which I've repeated, but still kind of blows my mind when you think about how 250? I thought that was for Virgin Galactic. Okay, I just got a note that says it's $250,000 for a flight ticket. That is what I know was being offered by Virgin Galactic. I'm not sure about Blue Origin. I'm hitting the old friend Google. What do we got here? I'll dig into that. Got a few more comments. Nick says, is Captain Kirk's phaser set on stun? Oh, someone commented, we love you all. May Leonard Nimoy be with you in spirit. Godspeed, prayer for a safe trip. Carmen says, age is nothing but a number, baby. I mean, did you see he's 90 years old? And he climbed that tower, I think, better than I could. Chris says they're waiting for Scotty. Oh, this is, Cody posted earlier when I had turned coverage back over to Blue Origin. Are they coming back down? No, that's... Are those the astronauts coming back down? Here, let me take this full so I can get a little better view. No, that's the crew. Okay. Sorry, that scared me for a minute. The head count was right, because Bezos popped into the crew cabin for a hot minute, but then we saw all the astronauts in there, kicked back in their giant, luxurious chairs. Anyway, sorry, Cody posted this earlier and I wanted to share it because it is really sweet. He says, I'm so excited. I'm currently sitting here with my grandparents. We are all big fans of Captain Kirk. We love you, Captain Kirk. Much love from Louisville, Kentucky. Thought that was sweet. Carmen says, I'm so glad that people took over and never stopped exploring space. People weren't interested in funding NASA. That doesn't stop, as we will always explore. Carmen's comment brings up a really good point. And a couple weeks ago, I talked to an expert from Rice University talking about the history of space here in the Houston area. And he attributed part of the decline of the space program at NASA to people getting accustomed to space. The space shuttle was just a thing that happened. And it didn't have the same level of excitement 131 trips in as it did in the beginning. So it'll be interesting to see if now, knowing that the public can hitch a ride on one of these, if that interest sustains. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, most of them being, the millions of dollars that it costs, or hundreds of thousands of dollars that it costs to hop on board. Oh, thank you, Jaime. Okay, the hold just lifted, which means we are less than T-minus 15 minutes to launch, and we're going to join Blue Origin's coverage in progress again.
Here we are at just about T-minus 10 minutes until launch with our astronauts and especially our customers, Glenn and Chris, on board. There's really no way to fully understand how they're feeling in this moment without being on there. But we do know someone who has experienced this and can share a little bit about that. Our first customer, Oliver Damon, 18 years old, the youngest person ever to go to space. Let's hear it from him.
There was not a single moment in life that I thought I would be the youngest astronaut ever. And to have been given this chance by Blue is so amazing. To meet the other astronauts and see everything is so cool.
We'd like to run this one through at full speed.
We're going up in that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
I think there was not a single nerve in my body that was like afraid. I think it's because of the track record of Blue. The launch and the power of the G's, like you're going up to the sky.
Oh, wow.
And of course the weightlessness.
Oh, wow, God.
Pretty cool. What I've just been through, I've been dreaming about all my life. Let's hope that many, many more people can do this. Because this experience you should share with more and more people. It's so amazing.
Oliver's perspective for someone so young is just amazing. I'm so encouraged by this next generation. I actually did like the part where he said he's been waiting for this his whole life. He's substantially younger than me, so I'm still a little bit jealous of Oliver. We're at T-minus 9 minutes until our second human launch, awaiting the go, no-go poll.
Channel 1 and UHF for the go poll for terminal count and launch. Capsule. Go. Booster.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Safety.
Go.
Capcom.
Go.
Engineering.
Go.
This is the flight director on Channel 1 and UHF voice. Booster commence the terminal count.
Copy flight.
Copy, sir.
I guess that's it, huh? We're going.
As you heard it, we are go for launch. Go for second human flight. I am so excited for this crew. Now, earlier this week, I sat with them to discuss rockets and space and the future. Let's get to know our crew a little bit better.
All right, guys, you're just a couple of days at this point from going to space. Anybody excited?
Yes. A little bit.
Something, just a little bit?
You are.
I am. I'm excited for you guys. I'm Glenn and Chris in particular. You have bought these tickets to go to space. Why?
Yeah, the ticket is for the view. The ticket is to really get that understanding of what it's like to see Earth from that perspective and feel like we're part of this tiny little planet and this little civilization that frankly has a lot of work to do to make Earth work better, to make it more sustainable. And I want to carry that feeling that we're going to get from that view back down with me and hopefully turn that into making the world a better place. And frankly, I think being able to do that is something that can not just be great for those of us who have the privilege of being able to do this now, but will fuel this industry that will allow us to have as many people as possible on the planet see that, and everybody benefit from the things that are going to come out of space and space technology.
Yeah, I mean, this is, for me, for personally a lifelong dream, but I realized that, space is opening up for everyone. This is the beginning of a new era, right? The first 60 years of space exploration with the domain of governments. You had to be a space superpower to send highly trained astronauts into space. And, Glenn and I are just regular citizens flying up. It's amazing that this is happening. I think in about 60 years, we'll look back at this year and go, this is the year the doors finally open for the human race to go to space.
Fantastic. And Audrey, we both have talked about going to space for such a long time. What do you want to do with this experience?
Well,
inspire
I
others?
can't wait to get back to everybody at Blue and have them pepper me with questions. The folks who have designed this vehicle and tested this vehicle and just haven't asked me everything they want to know about what it's like when you're up there. And my nieces are coming to watch this, and they're teenagers, young kids now, and they're just absolutely mesmerized by this kind of stuff. My friends' kids are all, their Girl Scout troops are calling, and so I can't wait to talk to all them.
Fabulous. And Bill, we'll end with you. You have inspired so many for so many generations. For for the kids and the young people that are going to be watching this launch and who might want to be space explorers one day, do you have any words for them?
Well, seriously, the truth of the matter is this whole Blue Origin thing is based on the idea of building industry above the Earth and taking that pollution out of this planet, out of the immediate planet, and putting it up there. That's got to be the future of the Earth, and the Earth is dependent on that and the youth. So the two work hand in hand, and so it's very important that the young people of today know that that up there is the future, and to work towards that for the improvement of the Earth.
Fabulous. Well, thank you all for coming on this journey with us as Blue Origin, but thank you for inspiring others, and also as we go forward coming out of this, continuing this inspiration. So thanks, guys. Good luck. Godspeed.
Wow, well, some great perspectives from a crew that's clearly more than ready to fly to space today. Well, we are just under T-minus 5 minutes until liftoff, so things are getting real.
Things are getting really real. And what I really loved about that video is this crew gets it, right? Every single person on that rocket gets it, how important going to space is, of course, for the ability to have that incredible view and the incredible experience of being in zero G, but also to inspire others and understanding what the road to space is about and why we're trying to ultimately have millions of people living and working in space to make life better back here on Earth.
And a big thing they all talked about that is truly so special is, everyone wants to know how those 3 minutes were in space, but they're excited about what comes after, and I think that's just something really, really special about this crew. Their focus on, like you said, inspiring others after this flight, long after this flight is over.
Exactly. All right, so again, T-minus 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go until launch. What's coming up shortly here? So at T-minus 2 minutes, we send the show over to New Shepard. She's a fully autonomous vehicle, which means that from T-minus 2 minutes through launch up to apogee and back down to landing, the rocket is in control of itself. Of course, we have an incredible team in our Mission Control Center that have their eyes glued on their screens to make sure that everything is going well and is within bounds. But we built the rocket to be autonomous for safety. Again, we think that while we've got some pretty smart people in that mission control, the rocket is in fact quicker and faster at controlling itself. So what we're going to see here shortly, the rocket is going to go through what we call the bit checks, the built-in tests. At the base of the rocket, you see 3 of the 4 fins down there. Those are the aft fins. Those are going to move back and forth. We want to make sure that they've got full freedom of movement. Also, what you're going to see at the base of the rocket, you can kind of see, it's a little hard in this image, you're going to see the engine nozzle gimbal. The engine moves back and forth. It also helps with the directional capability of the rocket on ascent, but also especially on descent as it comes in to land on the landing pad just 2 miles north of where it's taken off from. And then, of course, you've seen throughout the morning the rocket venting. It's full of propellant at this point, but we want to make sure that we keep the propellant tanks within bounds, of course, of pressure and temperature. This morning, a little bit easier to do that versus our last flight, which was in the middle of July. It was warmer. It's actually a nice balmy morning here down in West Texas. But again, we've got our team who have their eyes on their computer screens, making sure that everything is within bounds. And there goes the gantry retracting at T-minus 2 minutes. Let's listen in. There go the aft fin checks at the base of the rocket. Our astronauts can feel that. They are sitting at the top of a 60-foot rocket, about 20 meters tall. T-minus 1 minute. And there you can just see slightly there the gimbaling engine at the base of the rocket. All right, everybody. Chris Bosshausen, Glenn DeVries, Audrey Powers, and William Shatner are about to go where very few humans have gone before. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to launch this rocket. Godspeed, New Shepard.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Command engine start. 2, 1.
With the second human spaceflight crew. What a launch. We are on our way to Max Q, the first milestone here on its flight to space. You can follow along, obviously, with the altimeter at the base of the screen, as well as the speedometer. They are gaining speed on their climb to space. We have confirmed max Q. This is when the aerodynamic stresses on the vehicle were at their maximum. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live for New Shepard's second human flight with Audrey Powers, William Shatner, our customers Glenn DeVries and Chris Bosshausen on board. They are well on their way to space. So far, a nominal flight, a clean burn on our Blue Engine 3. New Shepard giving them a beautiful flight to space this morning. The rocket is climbing towards an altitude. We're aiming just over the Kármán line, the internationally recognized line of space of 100 kilometers. That is about 328,000 feet. And a gorgeous view down the rocket. And now we've had main engine cut off. The BE-3 engine has shut off. And in just a moment, we're going to separate the capsule from the booster. And at that point, our astronauts will have the opportunity to get out of their harnesses and enjoy the beauties of zero G. Let's wait to listen. And there you can see a clean separation between the capsule and the booster. And there you can see the capsule from the top of the booster. They are continuing their ascent over the Kármán line. You'll know when they hit apogee, when the speed hits 0. And there they are, over 328,000 feet, over 100 kilometers. Welcome to space. The newest astronauts on board our crew capsule. And there they are. They have just about hit their apogee. at about 351,000 feet. And while we don't have apogee, I can just imagine, Jackie, they are having the time of their lives. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live from West Texas. So far, a nominal flight for our second human crew. So exciting, Jackie, to have sent Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner, to space. I cannot wait to hear his commentary upon return, as well as our two customers, Chris Bosshausen from Australia, to all the fans tuning in from down under. A big shout out to you guys, as well as Glenn DeVries and our very own Audrey Powers. They are coming back home. The booster, of course, is going to beat the capsule back home. It is more aerodynamically shaped, of course, at the base of the capsule. It's kind of a blunt end, so it's less aerodynamic. What we're going to see coming up shortly is at the top of the rocket, we have the ring fin. There's some what we call the pie fins that extend from the ring fin, as well as the drag brakes. The pie fins, the wedge fins, help stabilize the vehicle, kind of like the feathers at the back of an arrow. And then you will also see the drag brakes. And as you mentioned, Jackie, it cuts the velocity dramatically. There you can see the wedge fins are out. Here we see the descent. We are going to expect the BE-3 engine to relight just at about 3,600 feet or about 1,200 meters above ground level. Let's wait for that now. The drag brakes have deployed. And here we come, New Shepard. Touchdown. Welcome back, New Shepard. The fourth flight to space and back for that vehicle provided a beautiful flight to space for our second human crew. Wow, that gets me every time we do this live down here in Texas. The sonic boom is so cool. Drag brakes are folding back in, as have the wedge fins. Just looks like you could fuel her up and go again. What do you think, Jackie?
And even when you know to expect the sonic boom, it still catches you off guard every time.
Talk about a rumble. A beautiful sight of our New Shepard rocket there in the West Texas desert. But of course, the show is not over. The capsule is descending. We are waiting for first the drogue chutes to deploy. Those are very much like the guide parachutes. They will subsequently be followed by the main parachutes that will first reef and then fully inflate. And there go the drogue parachutes. And here come the mains. Whew, what a flight. You can already start to hear the cheers from outside our stage here in West Texas.
piece of fog cola. Like there's a lot. Look out your window, Audrey. Oh, yeah, I see it. You know what? I can't see the booster. Where is it? Probably from the cover. It's going to rotate. I want to find that pod and take it home. How about that, guys? How about that, guys? That was unlike anything they described. All right, we got less than 1,000 feet. All right, raise. Let's down.
And here comes our crew back into the desert.
Newest astronauts 5, 96, 97, 98, and 99.
That's unlike anything you'll ever feel. Ever feel.
Stand by touchdown. Stand by touchdown.
Stand by touchdown.
And capsule touchdown. Welcome back, the newest astronauts. Audrey Powers, William Shatner, our customers, Glenn DeVries and Chris Boshausen. What a day for you. Welcome back. I cannot wait to talk to them, Jackie, and just get what they experienced up there this morning. What a clean and beautiful flight from the rocket for our astronauts.
What an absolutely stunning flight. And I also loved hearing that audio of them on their way back about how this experience was for them. And I can't wait to hear their stories.
Well, you heard William Shatner say, this is like nothing I've ever experienced before. So coming from a man who has experienced space
who
for
has
decades.
gone warp speed and traveled the entire intergalactic universe. This was like nothing he's ever seen before.
What a day for our astronauts. So now our team is preparing landing safety operations and recovery of our astronauts from the crew capsule. We'll be on the ground at the landing site to follow the action in just a bit, maybe even talk to the world's newest astronauts. Some absolutely breathtaking stuff. And I'll note that you're going to see our the recovery team show up very shortly because we actually send them out before the capsule has landed, because through our modeling, we get by now we're very, very good at analyzing where the capsule is going to come down, given where we know
on that landing.
exactly where the winds are. And so we're going to see the recovery team come out there, and of course they will also be joined by some of their friends and family to watch as they emerge from the capsule. Let's check out these beautiful shots of our 4 astronauts there in the Texas desert after having gone up over the Kármán line and back. And here's some beautiful shots of our 4 astronauts in the capsule awaiting the recovery team. I understand from Capcom that they have had communications with those 4 astronauts, and they have all given the thumbs up that they are doing A-OK after an exhilarating flight to space and back.
Awaiting that recovery team in that champagne shower, which
Yes.
I'm now regretting that we don't have any champagne for ourselves, Ariane. That feels very unfair after this show.
There's some waves from our astronauts there. And there in the foreground, you see the capsule, the background, their ride to space, the New Shepard booster. Again, that booster has flown to space and back 4 times with this flight. And coming to get them is the recovery crew. And Jackie, you can see there, again, beautiful shots of the capsule. The parachutes actually have fallen pretty close to the capsule itself, meaning that there isn't a lot of ground wind out there. We talked about this earlier in the show, and of course we had to delay a day because of the gusty winds that have been out there. But no, today has been a beautiful day for a launch and landing of a rocket and launch and landing of 4 new astronauts.
I know we were talking to Chris a couple days ago, and he actually flew that USB full of music from around the world to space. As you mentioned, he's a DJ. So, of course, we have our new astronauts. We have our Club for the Future postcards that have just returned from space. And, of course, you know, some of the personal items like this awesome USB full of music. I wish we could be playing some of that right now.
Well, you probably will soon. Actually,
Yes.
you know, as you mentioned, Chris Bosshausen has kind of a side gig as a DJ, DJ Crispy, and he actually released an album on Friday, and I can't wait to see what he does with that music. Some musicians on board too. Of course, William Shatner. Everybody knows him as an actor. He also sings. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about what we're doing at Blue Origin. Again, opening the door to more people to go to space. Yes, the scientists, yes, the engineers, but now the artists, poets, singers, DJs, let's just see what they create coming out of this experience. We have said it before, going to space changes you. We've talked about the overview effect, and I can't wait to see how the stories that come out of, and the art that comes out of this. All right, we now have Sarah Knights going around the capsule, getting the thumbs up from each of our astronauts. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live from West Texas, where we have just completed our second human flight of the New Shepard vehicle. Our crew on board, the great William Shatner, now who has become the oldest person to have ever flown to space at the ripe age of 90 years old, our very own Audrey Powers, as well as our 2 customers, Glenn DeVries and Chris Bosshausen. Our recovery crew is out there and is about to open the hatch. There is our founder, Jeff Bezos, giving the big thumbs up.
This looks like a familiar shot I remember seeing recently.
Yes.
A very happy
Woo!
birthday.
And here come their friends and family.
Hey there, digital anchor Brandi Smith here. Sorry, it looks like we lost the feed from Blue Origin with their commentary. So I'm just giving you a live look here as the crew of NS-18 makes its way out of the capsule. Jeff Bezos going up to greet him, unlocking the door. Let's listen in. Hey guys, digital anchor Brandi Smith, just letting you know we're aware of the audio issue. We are trying to get this resolved as soon as we can because I know a lot of folks want to hear from William Shatner about his trip into space. So as soon as we get that resolved, I'll let you know. Okay, it looks like we have this problem fixed. Here we go.
Everybody, it would be so important for everybody to have that experience through one means or another. I mean, maybe you could put it on 3D and wear the goggles and have that experience. I mean, that certainly is a technical possibility. But what you need also, we're lying there and I'm thinking, listen, one delay after another delay, we're lying there, and I think, how do I feel? And I'm thinking, I'm a little jittery here. And when they move the pins, oh, there's something in the engine. They found an anomaly in the engine. They found an anomaly in the engine. We're going to hold a little longer. Oh, you're going to hold a little longer. And I feel this, the stomach, the biome inside. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking I'm a little nervous here. Another delay, I'm a little more nervous. And then the thing starts. By the way, the simulation they have to be warned. It's only a simulation. Everything else is much more powerful. Doesn't capture the and besides which, the jeopardy. Bang! This thing hits. You go, that wasn't anything like the simulation.
The G-forces.
The G-forces. And your stomach, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be able to survive the G-forces? You feel that? Am I going to survive it? Yeah. And then I think, good Lord, just getting up the bloody gantry was another. Oh my God, what an experience! What? Nothing.
It looked like you had a moment of camaraderie with your.
Oh, we all hugged
crewmates
each
up
other.
there and-
You share. It's like being in battle together, really. And there is this bonding of being in battle, but you're also embattled inside yourself. Oh my goodness! Wow, I have had an experience.
We're gonna pin you guys now. Woo!
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Remember that conversation we had about it not being expectations?
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live. Our second New Shepard astronaut crew has made it home. We just heard some wonderful words from William Shatner, Captain Kirk, who finally had the opportunity to go to space. He became the oldest person to have ever flown to space at the age of 90, if you can believe it. He, of course, went up there with our very own Audrey Powers, our two customers, Glenn DeVries and Chris Bosshausen. Jackie, you heard what William Shatner was saying. What a moment. Everybody needs to see this. He was commenting on, you know, the fragility of it all, just how thin. You think, oh, here we are, it's all covered in blue. But then when you go in a rocket, go through it, and you see how quickly it turns to black. I mean, he was literally moved to tears by it. And it is, we've talked about it before. Rockets with people on board is an emotional experience.
And right now we're about to see our 4 newest astronauts be pinned with those astronaut wings. So let's check that out.
How was your experience?
It's going to take me a while to be able to.
You're going to have to process that.
It was incredible. It was the most incredible thing I've ever.
I have the great honor of pinning this on you. Not many people have been where you have.
On the other hand, if you speak now as this thing is fresh, well, not only fresh, flooding, like
Chris,
you're totally immersed in.
I have the great honor of pinning this on you. Welcome to a very small club.
You did.
Bill, it's my real honor to pin this on you. I'm very excited about your ability to communicate this. It's so important for so many people. Oops, this one bent.
So am I.
Do you have a spare one?
I never wanted to tell
We
him.
have a spare, don't worry.
Oh, sorry, this is Audrey's.
Oh,
See,
can we get a
that's,
spare one for Bill real quick? Or you think you can unbend that?
I was going to try.
That's all right, guys.
No, we'll get it.
Let's pretend I didn't.
Wow,
do it.
good job.
Look at her.
Perfect.
Did she unbend it?
She did.
Clutch. This is the hardest part of the mission.
All right. Thank
Bill,
you.
you're amazing. You're an amazing person. Audrey, you are so deserving of this.
Thank you.
You've worked so hard on this program, and all your life, you've been dreaming of this.
Isn't that true? What a gift.
Sorry, these things are tricky. I can see. I have more sympathy for Jeff Ashby now. Poor guy. He had to do it in front of a big crowd. It's just that the Nomex is very tough.
Oh, that's true.
It's like really fights you.
There we go. I heard it. I heard it.
That's snap.
Congratulations.
Jeff. Thanks so much.
Okay, guys, we have 4 astronauts before you.
That was absolutely amazing. As Jeff said, we've got 4 astronauts before you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for Blue Origin's 2nd human flight. Of course, a special thank you to Chris Boshausen and Glenn, our customers. We look forward to, in the next several years, flying more and more of you customers from around the world. And if you watching at home are interested in flying with us, please go to blueorigin.com and click on Fly to Space. We cannot wait to send you up. Jackie, thank you so much for spending this time this morning on the desk with you. It was so much fun.
Thank you, Ariane. It was an incredible day, and I cannot wait to hear the stories from these astronauts, especially Audrey. I'm so excited to see her, give her a big hug, and hear how her experience was.
Absolutely, and we already heard from William Shatner and how he's still trying to find his words, and certainly Glenn and Chris, who have vowed as well to share the story with the rest of the world. Cannot wait to hear that. Everybody, the road to space is being built. You're seeing it right here. We took a big step today. And if you are interested in joining our extraordinary team, please visit our website.
Yes, please join us. From 2 people who have been at Blue Origin for quite a long time. Please come join us. And if you'd like to commemorate the day Captain Kirk flew to space, we of course have mission patches. Here you see it on the screen, apparel and other collectible gear in the Blue Origin shop.
Everybody, my name is Ariane Cornell. For Jackie Cortez and everybody here at Blue Origin, thank you for joining us. And until our next launch, Gradatum Ferociter.
It would help if I turned my mic on. Hey guys, I'm KHU 11 digital anchor Brandi Smith. Blue Origin has just completed its coverage of NS-18, the 18th mission made by the New Shepard. 4 new astronauts, you just saw them take off, experience weightlessness for a couple of minutes, and return to Earth just outside of Van Horn, Texas. Jaime, you look like you want to say something. Oh, okay. I apologize for the technical glitches we had there. That was not an issue with Blue Origin's feed. We had a little gremlin in the system, but if you want to go back and watch what William Shatner had to say before we dropped into that coverage, you can go over to Blue Origin's YouTube page. They have the full coverage. Just basically fast forward all the way to the end, and you'll be able to hear from him. But there was an incredible quote. Sorry, I'm toggling between my two computers here. An incredible quote from him. He said, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself in now and then, finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." That is what he had to say about reaching the edge of space, 62 miles up from Earth. Oh, sorry, I thought there was new video coming in, but that feed has ended. I'm going to bring it back to me next. Should I probably change this graphic? Sorry, I run this myself, so I apologize for the hiccups sometimes. There we go. I'm going to also pull that super down. There we go. Hey, Brandi Smith here. So I wanted to go through some of your comments because a lot of you weighed in watching the launch, seeing the ship on the horizon there, the horizon of space, and then watching the crew capsule come back down. A lot of frustration not being able to hear actor William Shatner, now officially the oldest person to ever visit space. I cannot apologize enough. But again, that's all over on Blue Origin's Blue Origin's YouTube page. Oh, Michael's saying my voice is very staticky. I don't know what could be causing that at this point. That might be better. It's hard to say because there's feedback, so I can't put my IFB back in my ear. I was using my earpiece to be able to listen to coverage, but I hear myself back. There's an echo, which makes it a little difficult to talk. So I apologize for that. Hopefully that's fixed. We were also hoping, I know a lot of you wanted to see the video from when they were weightless. This is a crew cabin with 12 cameras, and I suspect that's something that's going to come out maybe later in the day or the coming days. Because it was something we got to look at during the July 20th flight. PJ says, it's great to see that William Shatner, the main first Star Trek crew captain, got to experience his first lift into space. Awesome to see. Well done. Michelle says, I absolutely love that he got to do this. So happy for him. You know, a lot of people are responding to William Shatner. He's obviously the biggest name in this crew. But I thought it was really touching when the astronauts popped out at the very end when Jeff Bezos was pinning those mission badges on. He took special time with Audrey Powers, who's been an employee of Blue Origin for 8 years. She's been working on New Shepard. She's had multiple roles within the company, but he said she was so deserving of this and she'd worked so hard. She said in interviews leading up to the launch that she thought she was out of time. She had worked at NASA and she just didn't think there was going to be an opportunity for her to go into space. So she was elated when they delivered that news to her, and leadership at Blue Origin decided that she would be the person to represent Blue on this mission. You also had 2 passengers on board, Dr. Chris Bosshausen and Glenn DeVries. Blue Origin's been kind of tight-lipped about exactly how much they paid for those tickets. There's a lot of speculation out there, but no official word from the company at this point. Okay, I was going to see if there's anything else but I think we can wrap it for the day. I do want to encourage you to tune in to KHOU 11 News at noon, the 411 at 4, KHOU 11 News at 5, 6, and 10. Xavier Walton, who has been up since like 3 o'clock this morning, is in Van Horn with photographer Sergio Soto. They were there with the crowds watching the launch this morning. He's also done a number of stories with the community there in Van Horn. If you want to dig into any of that, you can go to khou.com/space. We have coverage, of course, of Blue Origin, but also Virgin Galactic, of SpaceX, and some projects NASA is working on. So all of that can be found there. But for now, I'm going to say farewell until next time.